Iran's retaliatory strike erupted like an uncontrollable bomb. In a sudden, high-precision operation, it is reported that 150 Israeli fighter jets were destroyed, crashing in various corners of the airspace they previously controlled with arrogance. This strike was a response to the destruction of one of Iran's air bases last week, which was most likely attacked by Israeli missiles in a preemptive strike. However, instead of weakening, Iran responded with brutal force, targeting Israel's strategic air bases and annihilating its air fleet in less than 3 hours. Israel's Ministry of Defense has not yet issued an official statement, but several internal officials confirmed that the damage is estimated at over 2 trillion rupees, making it one of the costliest military strikes in the history of modern conflicts. "We didn't expect it to be so massive. Our radars went blind, communications were paralyzed, and the sky turned into an iron graveyard," said one surviving Israeli Air Force officer, though emotionally shattered. Ironically, the 150 modern aircraft not only failed to repel the attack, but didn't even manage to take off. They burned to ashes, like student term papers that someone failed to save properly. "How did Iran manage to retaliate so quickly?" a journalist asked. The answer is simple. They didn't wait for a plenary session but sent a greeting through the sky. Meanwhile, Iran, as reported, called this operation celestial justice, and declared complete success with no human casualties on their side. Initial IRGC reports state that ballistic missiles, kamikaze drones, and electronic warfare systems were launched simultaneously, turning Israeli fighters into expensive toys bought at a shop. "Welcome to a new era, where stealth fighters can't vanish from radars but disappear from the world," said an Iranian general with a meaningful smile on television. The sky over southern Israel was no longer blue. It turned into a sea of smoke, debris, and panic. In just 180 minutes, Israel's air defense system, which they boasted about like a proud parent of a child graduating from a top university, fell before a wave of Iran's retaliatory missiles. Exclusive regional intelligence reports state that over 70% of Israeli fighters were destroyed before reaching tactical altitude. Fateh and Shahed missiles and Mohajer drones were launched from 3 strategic points in Iran, hitting hangars, runways, and even military parking lots. There was no room for maneuvering, no time to save honor. "We activated the alarm, but even its sound couldn't drown out the noise of the approaching missiles," said an Israeli aviation technician, sitting in a daze, staring at the remains of an F-35, now a giant aluminum bowl. NATO intelligence, observing from Cyprus, called the event a systemic failure and paralysis of air command. Signal intelligence data indicates that Iranian electronic warfare systems disrupted Israeli aircraft communications in just 23 seconds. After that, pilots were like players in a Mobile Legends game. Communications dropped, they panicked, lost orientation, and were ultimately destroyed. "They didn't fight, they fled. But unfortunately, they didn't even have time to escape," said a Turkish military analyst. "This isn't war, it's execution." A civilian satellite even captured the moment an F-16 caught fire in the air and crashed onto another plane preparing to take off. Yes, a double kill in the real world. Israel may have only now realized that the sky no longer belongs to them. These modern aircraft, once called the kings of the sky, now have less chance of a future than a fried meat vendor. Before, aircraft were a symbol of dominance. Now they're more like lots at a Tehran scrap market, an Iranian social media user commented, instantly going viral. Even TikTok featured a dramatic video captioned, "When arrogance meets karma, the world holds its breath." Iran's retaliatory strike not only caused a roar in the Middle Eastern sky, but also a diplomatic wave that reached Washington, Moscow, Beijing, and even Jakarta, where people initially scrolled past football news. After the mass destruction of 150 Israeli fighters, major powers immediately convened emergency meetings. The UN also held a session, but as usual, the result was only statements of concern and Zoom call lags. The United States, Israel's main ally, called the attack an escalation of the conflict. But as of this article's publication, no missile aid was provided, only emails with condolences. Yes, because sometimes Washington imposes sanctions faster than it provides logistical support. On the other hand, Russia and China smile meaningfully. Some pro-Russian media called the event a resurgence of a force opposing the West in the sky. In Chinese social media, the hashtag Israeli planes shot down trended on Weibo for 14 hours, surpassing local celebrity gossip. We are witnessing a shift in the world's power map, and it's not a metaphor. It's literally Israeli planes turning to ash, said an Indian military analyst in a TV interview. Human rights organizations condemned the escalation, but don't know who to defend. Partly because one side lost planes worth billions of dollars, while the other has been losing the right to life since 1948. Israel didn't expect Iran to be so bold. But what can you do? You destroyed their airbase, not an instant noodle stall. The response won't be just an Instagram post, a Saudi commentator quipped in a viral editorial. Iran itself seems to have released the brakes on diplomacy. It released a video of the attack set to national orchestra music, showing the wreckage of Israeli planes from cinematic angles. We won't sit idly by when our land is struck. We'll respond not only with missiles, but with a message. Never do it again, Iran's president declared in a speech met with ovations in Tehran. The world watches but dares not approach, because now the sky over the Middle East is not just a conflict arena, but a stage of destruction that can burn anyone too overconfident. The sky has calmed, but it's only a pause, not peace. Iran has spoken with missiles, and now Israel faces a choice: respond with full risk, or retreat with shattered pride. Israel's military, always known for its aggressiveness and efficiency, suddenly seemed to fall into a first-round knockout. Several of their bases were devastated, and thousands of Air Force personnel were moved to secret locations, which satellite data revealed were just old bases closed in 2009. Yes, like an ex who was dumped but came back when cornered. The Israeli government held a 9-hour emergency meeting with zero results, and the defense minister even threw a chair when local journalists called him a complete failure. Meanwhile, Iran grows more confident, not only showcasing its military might, but also throwing sarcastic jabs at international media. Our planes may be old, but our pilots aren't blind. Your planes are expensive, but they don't last. It's not about the price, but who can withstand the heat, an IRGC commander said at a press conference. And Israel? They're melting like ice cream under the sun at a convenience store. The destruction of 150 Israeli fighters became a new source of global mockery on social media. Israel didn't lose due to lack of technology, but due to excessive arrogance, like someone carrying an expensive iPhone, but unable to tell a genuine charger from a fake, a Turkish Twitter user wrote, garnering 800,000 likes. Military analysts warn that this is not the end of the confrontation but the start of a much harsher phase. If Israel responds and Iran is ready, we'll witness a new phase of a short but highly intense war, a German geopolitical expert stated. Nuclear weapon discussions have begun. The U.S. Navy in the Mediterranean started maneuvers. Russia began broadcasts. Israel is silent, but its silence is frightening, and the world watches with growing anxiety. Welcome to a new world, where war can erupt not over religion or land but over ego and an easily pressed button, a senior BBC journalist concludes. This is not a heroic story, nor a one-on-one duel. It's a story about who is crazy enough not to back down, and unfortunately, both rivals have lost their sanity.